What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of NoBrosAllManos podcast. This is episode 6. I'm your host, Ryan Phoebus. Welcome back. We've got a lot to talk about today, but first, make sure you like and subscribe the video, share it with your friends. We're going to talk about UFC from over the weekend, Fight Night Lewis versus Spivac. We're going to talk Bellator 288 and Usman Nurmagomedov. And then we're also going to talk about some ONEFC fights that happened over the weekend. There was a lot of action over the weekend. But let's jump right into it. First thing we're going to talk about the UFC fight card over the weekend: Derrick Lewis versus Sergey Spivac. This fight was scheduled to fight over the weekend, but it was canceled during the fights. Everybody made weight on Friday, no issues there. But then Friday, we find out Derrick Lewis's fight has to be canceled because he has some sort of stomach issue. Now, this was non-COVID related, non-weight cut issue, non-hydration issue. He was cleared by the doctor that night and let go. Wish him all the best, and we hope to see him come back maybe later on this year, maybe early next year. But for Spivak, it's kind of a bummer. Derrick Lewis would have been a great name for him to add to the resume. But, what can we say? We got a new main event between Kennedy Seichuku versus Ion Cutelaba. And this one went down as a second round KO by Kennedy Seichuku. Coming in, Seichuku was 10-3, Cutelaba 16-8-1. And let's jump right into the action. Round one, they were both trading shots. Cutelaba kind of getting the better of these exchanges. He landed a good takedown, but he had some uppercuts before he got it, reaching in from behind, kind of up under the right arm of Seichuku. Get the takedown. You know, Shugu got back up. Cutelaba able to get the takedown again. Lands up in mount. Kind of controls. Doesn't really do too much ground and pound. Ends out round one in the dominant position. Gave round one to Cutelaba, but not a bad round for either guy. Round two starts, and they came out swinging heavy. Big shots from both guys. Shugu was able to land a knee right up the middle. Kind of it rocked Cutelaba. It sent him back, and on his way back, Cutelaba throws a kick, lands, hits the groin of Seichuku. Seichuku tells the ref, let's go right immediately. He recognizes that Cutelaba is injured, showing off some of that fight IQ. He pushes forward again, lands another knee, and is able to rock him even more, sits him down, more ground and pound, closes out the fight, and it goes down as a round two KO TKO for Kennedy Seichuku. Great finish, great knees, great striking overall by Seichuku. I'd love to see him use the reach advantage that he has, 83 inches. It's third largest in the UFC. Stick behind that reach, keep using those knees going forward. Love to see him next fight versus maybe that 15-13 range, maybe like a Dustin Jacoby or Khalil Roundtree. I think first quarter 2023 would be a great opponents for him. Keep the division moving, and let's see if he's ready to take on that next level of competition. Cutelaba, he's not a bad fighter. He just needs to round out the game, and I think stay focused and stick to a game plan. It was clear that he had good takedowns, but the fight was just going his way till it wasn't, and he didn't look bad. But let's just see him bounce back next year. Next fight we're going to talk about on the card: Chase Sherman versus Waldo Cortez Acosta, and this goes down as a unanimous decision for Cortez Acosta. Coming in, Chase Sherman 16-10, been kind of on hard times lately, taking a few losses in there. We know he's heavy-handed, got a great chin. Cortez Acosta 8-0, 9-0 now after the victory. He's got fast hands, accurate punches, some power in there. This guy was a former baseball player turned MMA fighter / boxer after he got into a fight in baseball. And so now he is gracing the octagon. Round one came out. Chase Sherman was using the jab, able to land a good calf kicks, man. That was the thing that he was using in round one that I think won him the round or helped, inflict the most damage that he was doing. He was landing good calf kicks off the combos of Cortez Acosta. Cortez Acosta was doing great, was having great effect with his 1-2 jab straight up the middle. But close out round one, Chase Sherman was able to get a takedown off the body lock, and I think that's what won him the round. That as well as those calf kicks, like I mentioned. Round two started with a bang, but it was not the same. It was not the same as the first round. Cortez Acosta was able to set up a left hook, real nasty, cheeky. Rock Sherman sent him back, able to ate some bombs. Cortez Acosta at one point landed like a 10-punch combo. Sherman's chin is just incredible, man. I mean, I don't understand how he didn't go down to some of these shots. I mean, they were bombs, and Cortez, he just wasn't moving his head, and Cortez Acosta was just piecing him up with a jab. One, two, three jabs in a row. Um, lots of good striking in there for Cortez Acosta. His hands are fast. They're accurate. They come straight down the pipe. And when you're not moving your head off the center line as Chase Sherman wasn't, it's going to be a long night for you. And round three started. More of Cortez Acosta landing those accurate punches. Sherman just looking labored. His hands were down by his side. And he just never went back to the calf kick, which I think was part of the game plan, but he just never reverted back to it. And it really cost him in this fight. Cortez Acosta gets the unanimous decision. And where do we go from here for both these guys? Well, I'd love to see Cortez Acosta maybe get somebody in that 20 to 25 range fighter, maybe even the 18, 19 range. I think this guy's good. He's got great hands. I just think the next thing he needs to add to his arsenal is a takedown off the body lock, or just some kind of trip, or just something to get a takedown. I think that'll take his game to the next level. As far as Chase Sherman, I think he just needs some rest. He needs to figure out, what he wants to do next. He's been taking a lot of damage. Learn how to move your head, man. I mean, it's got to get off the center line, and then stick to a game plan. Those calf kicks were clearly doing damage in round one. You just never went back to him, so he needs to really figure that out. But overall, it was a great fight. Good showing by Cortez Acosta. Ready to see both these guys 2023. Next fight we're going to talk about Andre Fialho versus Muslim Salikov. This is a third round TKO by Salikov in their welterweight bout. Fialho coming in 16-5, Salikov 18-3. Round one started, and Fialho was moving side to side, good movement, good leg kicks. Salikov was circling with Fialho, good using the teep kick right up to the body, good leg kicks and counter punching. Showed off the spinning kicks a few times early. They didn't really land, but they definitely had bad intentions behind them. Salikov was able to get a single leg, secure the takedown, decent ground and pound, but Fialho got back up to his feet and then ate a spinning back kick to the left thigh. But he answered with a big left of his own, and this pushed Salikov back, who ate another jab, and it hit the left eye, and it immediately looked like his eye swelled up. Round one ended, and we were able to actually see what really happened, and it was more so of just like a small scrape to above the eye. Was it causing problems? It didn't seem to, but he was able to blink it out before the round had ended, and he really recovered going into round two. And when it started, round two, that is, Salikov, he shot for a takedown off the jab, couldn't finish, but exit the clinch with nice short shots, left and right hands to the body and head of Fialho. And this just showed that the body shots were starting to add up, because Andre was following Salikov around the octagon, but he was just not throwing strikes of his own. And Salikov landed a big spinning back fist, which rocked Fialho. He had follow-up shots, closed out the round with a near head decapitating spinning hook kick. But Fialho just was not throwing strikes back, and something was off. I don't know if the equilibrium of the body shots were just starting to add up. All the momentum just heading into round three, was in Salikov's hand. I mean, he got a takedown in round two, landed some nasty hammer fist that really just added on, and shots just chipping away at Fialho. Round three starts, big strikes by Andre, but he still just looked off. Spinning side kick by Salikov sat Andre down. He had a few shots, and then a spinning heel kick lands clean, and it just freezes Fialho, and the ref steps in, whiz off the fight. Great finish by Salikov. Great fight overall. Good stoppage by the ref. That wasn't mattered at all. Fialho was just too tough for his own good. The chin looked great, but man, he was just taking shots and not firing back, and the ref was forced to stop it. Fialho had great moments in round one, but the body shots were adding up, and I also feel like 4 fights in 1 year already. This was his 5th fight. He was just tired. That's what it comes down to, in my opinion. Too much time training. He just needed some rest, and he didn't look terrible round one. Like I said, he didn't look terrible, but um, we'll look to see him bounce back in 2023. I think he should take some time off, rest. Uh, this guy's clearly good, but when you put in 4 or 5 fights in a year, it starts to put some wear and tear on your body. And as far as Salikov, I want to see him in a top 15 opponent next year. I can't think of a name, but I want to see him against a top 15 guy. I think he's earned it. I think he showed that he's got the skills to do so. And it's just another one of these Dagestani guys just coming in and doing the damn thing. So let's see him bounce back, get back in there early 2023, and hopefully keep his hype train rolling. Final fight we're going to talk about from the UFC is Jack Della Maddalena versus Danny Roberts. This was a first round finish by Jack Della Maddalena. Yeah, what can we say about this, man? Jack Della Maddalena, performance of the night in my opinion. Most dominant performance in my opinion also of the night. Round one, Maddalena came out. He's got the high guard. He's using great footwork and immediately lands, a couple big shots. He was able to back Roberts up against the cage and use head and body combos early. The jab was using to close the distance. He landed a big knee up the middle off the tie clinch. Jab left and straight right. Drops Roberts. Jack Della Maddalena jumps on top, lands heavy ground and pound. Roberts got back up. Good head movement by Maddalena, who's kind of just parrying and slipping all the punches that Roberts is still throwing at him. And he was still in the fight, Roberts was pumping the jab out there, but Roberts shot for a takedown. Good defense by Maddalena. Body shot tenses up Roberts, and the follow punches sit him down, and Jack Della Maddalena closed out the show. Great win by Jack Della Maddalena. He stayed composed. The head movement was there. Never got hit clean by anything. And his combos just look effortless, man. I mean, he was mixing up the body and head so cleanly. There was no fat in his punches, no telegraph. They were just coming straight down the pipe. And Roberts was never in his range as far as where Roberts wanted to fight. He was always just in no man's land where Jack Della Maddalena was able to just touch him constantly over and over again. And there was power behind a lot of those shots that he was landing. And they were just landing clean. And you cannot have that when you're at this level. You cannot just be in range of your opponent and expect to have a successful fight. You need to be at your own range. And that was the undoing, in my opinion, for Jack Della Maddalena. Where does he go from here? Jack Della Maddalena, he was not ranked in this fight, but I would love to see him against a top 15 guy. I think the perfect opponent for him would be Danny Rodriguez, D-Rod, coming off the loss of his own. I think this would be a great fight between two strikers. Both guys have great boxing. And, if Maddalena is going to keep the ball rolling, I think that's a perfect opponent. Ranked number 15. Let's see if he's ready for that competition. I think he is. The kid's clearly good, and D-Rod needs a bounce back win. And I think that would be the type of name to, get himself back on his own, get himself back on track. Roberts just needs to get back in the gym, train, get the head, work on the head movement, working on staying in his range, and he'll be back. He'll be back. Didn't look bad, but great performance by Jack Della Maddalena. That was my MVP from the UFC card. But next thing we're going to talk about, we're going to jump into some one championship. ONEFC had a few fights over the weekend. They had 2 cards, one Friday night and one Saturday morning. Excuse me. First one we're going to talk about, Christian Lee takes on Karen Abasov. And new double champ Christian Lee claims the welterweight belt. Pre-fight, Abasov missed weight and was stripped of the belt, and so he could not win this belt back, even with a win. Christian Lee, moving up, of course, is the reigning lightweight champ. Won the belt, and coming in 16-4, like I said, reigning lightweight champ. Abasov, your now stripped former welterweight champ, 23-5. Round one was action packed. Abasov came out fast, came forward, fast hands, great combos, both left and right. Lee was landing good leg kicks, got a nice takedown off the body lock 2 minutes into the fight. Abasov gets back up to his feet, firing strikes. Abasov lands this counter left when he's with his back up against the cage, and it drops Lee. Abasov pounced and landed huge elbows, a knee to the head which is legal in one. Lee was able to get back up, but he was all but out on his feet. Abasov was just landing massive left and right hooks, and Lee was just taking them. He was out on his feet, in my opinion. Head was down, hands were down, just kind of looking at the floor, just not even seeing where punches coming from. And I was really surprised that Herb Dean did not step in and stop the fight. But either way, Lee shoots in and gets a takedown off the body lock and was able to get Mount to kind of just survive the round and ride it out in Mount. But it kind of set the tail of what was coming because he was just easily able to get his way into Mount. And I still scored round one a 10-8. Um, you know, but it was just a dominant round for Abasov. Round two starts and Lee just looked recovered. The beating that he took in the latter part of round one was no more. He was landing leg kicks and throwing combos off the jab. Abasov looked tired after not getting that finish, and Lee was able to get the clinch into a body lock, secure the takedown, and just easily stepped into Mount. Now, Abasov just looked lost off his back. He was not working back to his feet in any way. And maybe because he was tired, maybe because it was a weight cut, maybe because he was not used to fighting off his back because he trains only in the top position. I don't know. I'm not sure. But eventually he was able to work his way back up after eating some heavy elbows from Christian Lee. Christian Lee continued to land combos, the high kick, 1-2, body shots off the teep. And he showed great takedown defense even when Abasov went in to shoot a takedown. Abasov landed some good uppercuts, some less, but not with the same power of round one, and he was just clearly tired. After round two, it was just a complete reversal of round one. And when round three starts with the momentum at Lee's back, Abasov, he looked tired. And round three was just more of Lee landing combos, leg kicks, and hands. Abasov throwing single strikes and overhand rights, uppercuts, but Lee was throwing combinations, 1, 2, 3, 4 punches, feigning with the takedown, mixing up between what limb he was throwing. So he'd throw, high kick with the left, and then he'd throw a body shot with the right. And he was just really mixing up, the angles and where the strikes were coming from, leaving Abasov confused. Lee was able to secure the clinch. He got it, and he couldn't get the takedown. Good use of balance by Abasov. Lee just continuing to lead the dance, being first to throw and landing, forcing Abasov to counter, which was not working well for him since literally round one. And round four starts, and it's like I said, it's just been all Christian Lee. He's won the last two rounds, maybe even a 10-8 in round four or round two. I'm sorry. Round four, Lee's back to using leg kicks, landing clean. The calf kicks are coming in higher volume now. He's doubling up on him at certain point. Abasov, after getting taken down again, he was forced to fight off the back, or not getting taken down. He was just forced to fight off the back foot, back against the cage, taking body shots, and this only made him more tired. Lee landed like an 8 elbow combination, which rocked Abasov, and Lee lands a takedown, straightened him out, vicious elbows, more punches, and Herb Dean is forced in to stop the fight. Goes down as a TKO in round four for Christian Lee, and a new double champ for ONEFC, lightweight and welterweight. What can we say? Christian Lee, great comeback, great chin, great perseverance, great use of a full arsenal of attack. This kid is young, and he's got a very, very good game for how young he is. Still a little allows himself to get hit a few times, which I think he'll clean that up. I think that this was also not his weight class because he was looking more tired than he normally does when he fights down at lightweight, carrying around that extra 10 pounds. So we'll look to see him again back at lightweight, maybe back at their welterweight division. I feel confident though in saying that Christian Lee, he could be a top 10 lightweight or welterweight in the world if he was in the UFC. He just showed a very, very good arsenal of attacks, and he's got a chin clearly. He's got heart. He's got perseverance, and I just can't wait to see him fight again. And I've got an idea for an opponent. We'll talk about that guy here shortly. But overall, great performance by Christian Lee. It's just impressive to see what the Lee family is doing. Christian Lee is a double champ. Angela Lee has been a double champ, I'm pretty sure. I know she's at least the champion right now of one weight division as far as on the women's side in ONEFC. And they've got also another younger sister that apparently is just a killer herself. So it's just awesome to see a family like that, just all in martial arts. A dad also trained and fought. So good for the Lee family. Good job, Christian Lee, becoming the double champ, winning the belt. Um, Abasov, it was a good round one for him, and it was just clear though that the weight cut really screwed him, and he was trying to knock out Christian Lee in round one, and when he couldn't, he was just dead tired. Um, but also, I think that he needs to learn how to fight off his back. He showed a clear deficiency on how to defend guard passes, and Christian Lee was passing him out way too easily, and you can't have that at this level. Um, that's something he definitely needs to work on. But either way, great fight. I recommend watching that one. Next fight we're going to talk about Rodtang Jitmunan takes on Joseph Lasiri. Um, and this fight closes out with Rodtang winning via unanimous decision. Coming in, we knew this fight would not be boring in any way, shape, or form. And it ended up just being one-way traffic, though. Rodtang, only 25 years old. Again, he needs no introduction, but he's 269, 42, and 10. Reigning flyweight Muay Thai world champion at one, and 25 years old, man. Over 300 fights. What can we say? I mean, that's just amazing. Lasiri, 43 and 13. He was a reigning strawweight Muay Thai world champion, looking to become the double champ, moving up, take on Rodtang. And we wanted to see, if Lasiri would use his reach to his advantage, like he did against Prajanchai. Use his ability to maintain range and lead the dance like he did against Prajanchai when he won the strawweight belt. But this whole fight, in my opinion, was just one-way traffic. Round one, Rodtang established the leg kick and showed that he had the power and speed advantage. He was just more composed. The head movement was better. Um, his combos were amazing. I mean, he was just 1, 2, 3, 4, dig into the body. The leg kicks were impressive. The step in elbow was awesome. The theory was just constantly on his bike, backing up, never really standing his ground against Rodtang, which is something I feel like you have to do to beat Rodtang. You have to stand your ground. And Lasiri was not doing that. Constantly on his bike, backing up. At one point, the ref was warning him, you have to fight back. Rodtang was just kind of clowning on him, being the showman that he is, doing his little dances. I'll have to clip a link of that into the description to just show you. It was funny to watch, but Rodtang, just one-way traffic, super impressive. I mean, this guy's just a killer. The full arsenal is there, and you know it's going to be hard to beat this guy. He's now undefeated. He still remains undefeated in ONEFC, and this guy's much watch TV. If Rodtang is fighting, I highly recommend you tune in to watch it. He's just the best fighter in Muay Thai right now. Probably the most popular fighter for ONEFC as well. Um, you know, I don't know how you're going to beat this guy in Muay Thai right now. I don't. He's that good. He's that good. And Lasiri, he's got to learn how to fight off the back foot. I think that was his problem. He fights well when he leads the dance, but when he wasn't leading the dance in this fight, it just wasn't going well for him. He threw some spinning stuff, and Rodtang, just saw it coming and just stepped in, closed that gap, and it just wasn't able to land effectively. So Lasiri just never got his game going, where Rodtang was just he was imposing his will on Lasiri, and Lasiri just had no answer for it. And it ended up being a unanimous decision for Rodtang. I think it was pretty clear. I gave all 5 rounds to Rodtang. You can maybe give 1 round to Lasiri, but I gave all 5 to Rodtang. Impressive performance by him. And let's jump into the last fight we're going to talk about from ONEFC over the weekend. Shinya Aoki took in on Saeed Isagagmayev. This is a lightweight fight. Coming in, Shinya Aoki, the legend, former lightweight world champion for one. He's been fighting since the Pride days, man. Fought in Pride, fought in Dream, fought 2 stints in LFA, in ONEFC, I'm sorry, and even got a Bellator fight in there as well. And then Saeed, Saeed, he's, training with Team Khabib, 21 and 2, just a young kid, ready, and he claimed, before the fight that he was going to out-grapple Aoki, who is the grappler. He's known for his submissions, but this fight didn't even get to that point. It goes down as a round 1 KO for Saeed. It started off round 1. Saeed was using a good jab. Aoki was using leg kicks, body kicks, but Saeed just stepped in with a counter, with a straight right hand, and it dropped Aoki. Saeed pounced, landed more ground and pound, and it closed out the show. Um, what's the takeaway from this fight? I hope that we get to see Saeed take on Christian Lee for the lightweight belt next. I think that's the fight to make. This kid's clearly got skills. He's got talent, got power, got good wrestling, and I think he could pose some problems for Christian Lee just in the wrestling department. I think in the power department as well. Um, but yeah, I'd love to see it. He called out Christian Lee after the fight. That's the fight to make. Hopefully they make it. And as far as Aoki, I think it's just time for him to hang him up. He's 39 years old, lots of miles on the tank, and he's already accomplished everything you want to accomplish as a fighter, in my opinion. No shame in walking away now. I mean, dude, he's a Hall of Famer. He's a legend, well respected by everybody. Um, you know, you just hate to see an old champ like this get knocked out in probably one of their last fights. We saw Frankie Edgar last week get knocked out by Gutierrez on his retirement fight. It sucks to see these OGs of the game get finished, but this happens to everybody. Father Time is undefeated, and this is another one of those cases. But hats off to Saeed. Hats off to Aoki. He's had a fabulous career, and hopefully he hangs him up and sails off to the sunset and becomes successful in anything he does outside of fighting, because I think he can. Next thing we're going to talk about, Bellator 288. We're only going to talk about one fight on this card just because I think this is the really big takeaway one. Usman Nurmagomedov defeats Patricky Pitbull via unanimous decision, 50-45, and then two 50-44s. What can we say about this fight? Man, Usman Nurmagomedov is the complete package. This fight was not close, not competitive, one-way traffic the entire time. If about as good a performance as you can hope for somebody that did not get a finish. Usman had a complete striking game, landing kicks constantly. I think he had 39 kicks in the first round alone. Body kicks, head kicks, leg kicks, mixing him up. The counter striking. He pushed forward. Patricky, who's usually wants the fighter to come to him and counters off of that. But he just never was able to get going. He looked completely confused, completely lost. I think by the third round, the strike differential was like 130-39. So Usman was 4-1 on strikes, and you're not going to win a fight, especially against a Nurmagomedov when you're down 4-1 on strikes. That pressure is only going to keep coming. Usman even showed great timing on the takedowns. It wasn't that he was forcing the takedowns, but he only utilized them whenever it was just a 100, almost a 99% guarantee that he was going to get the takedown, and that's what he did. And when he got the takedown, he landed heavy ground and pound when he had the opportunities. And when he wasn't landing ground and pound, he was just crunching on Patricky, forcing him to only be able to go, one or two places. And Usman was ready for that. And he was calculated. The guys he's rolling with, I mean, his main training partner is Islam Makhachev from the UFC, the lightweight champion. And he, you can just see it in the way that they wrestle. It's very similar, but I think that Usman just prefers the ground and pound over the submission threat, in my opinion, whereas Islam, is more of a submission guy. But man, it was just impressive. I mean, Usman is 24 years old. He already has showed a complete package, complete fighter, and there's just no telling where the ceiling of this guy could go. Um, you know, I I'm not I would not be surprised if this guy goes undefeated for a while. He's 16-0 now. I don't know who's going to beat this guy. I mean, the wrestling is elite, the striking is elite, and he's only getting better. Next fight maybe I'd love to see him. Benson Henderson, I think would be a great fight for him. He's number 3. But take some time off, enjoy your time, champ. Come bounce back. Let's see another great performance in your next fight. Definitely going to be against one of those top guys now that you've got the belt. But let's see where he goes from there. And as far as Patricky, I don't think he's going to get an immediate rematch. I don't think it's warranted or wanted by anybody really. Yeah, he just looked lost. I don't know what it was. Maybe it was just the pressure. But yeah, he just looked lost. You know, get back into the gym, train, and bounce back. Get yourself back in there. You're being a title challenger, a former champ. You're only 1-2 wins away from getting back into that title shot picture. So, love to see him bounce back. one more note about this fight, it almost seemed like Usman had a little bit of nerves. Like, though it was so dominant, it's like we didn't see him, really push for the finish. Um, and I think that that's going to be the next thing that we see from Usman is now he's going to start finishing people because you could see that by the fifth round the confidence was complete. That apprehension of can I beat these guys? Am I at that level? Was gone, and he realized that he could compete at this level and perform well, and he dominated this fight. So awesome fight by Usman. Uh, just clearly dominant. Can't wait to see him again. But let's just talk about what's going on with Team Khabib and these guys that are coming out of that Dagestan, Chechnya, Caucasus region of Russia. Let's just go down this list of teams. Usman Nurmagomedov, 16-0, Bellator lightweight champ. Islam Makhachev, 23-1, UFC lightweight champ. Umar Nurmagomedov, 15-0. I think he's ranked in the top 10 of the bantamweight division in the UFC. Abubakar Nurmagomedov, 21-3. Zubaira Takurov, 20-5. Sagiris Gamayev, 22-3. Tapir Ulabekov, 16-2. Bilal Muhammad's training with them. A team record right now, 133, 13-1. Two champions. This is Father's plan coming all together, and it's just impressive to see. I mean, this team, they do everything together. The camaraderie is awesome to see. They train together, they eat together, they sleep together, they pray together, they do sports outside of the UFC to train together. They play soccer, they play Russian basketball, which is the most chaotic form of basketball you've ever seen. These guys are awesome, man. I mean, they're all just doing everything, and I mean, it's just awesome to see them all, take take over in their own fight in multiple fight promotions. I mean, they've got two champs in two of the biggest ones. If he hopefully was fighting Christian Lee next, and maybe he can win a third belt for this team. Um, you know, it's just impressive to see what Team Khabib is doing, and I'm really impressed with how Khabib is just following Abdul Manap's plan, following Father's plan, and bringing it to fruition. I saw Connor's comments over the weekend about how he was saying this is not Father's plan and until you rematch me, and you know Habib is just never coming back, and I think that's obvious now. And Connor's just posting these salty tweets, and it's just not necessary. It's not needed. You're not getting him back, man. You lost cleanly. Nobody wants to see you go back out there. You will lose again. Whether it's even if Habib came back, I think it would be the same thing. If you fight Islam, it's probably going to even be worse because I don't think Islam's even going to allow you to do anything. I think Islam could even outstrike him. So uh, man, I'm just impressed with Team Habib. I can't wait to see where they go, man. These guys out of Dagestan, they're taking over the game, and it's just impressive to watch. Um, but that's going to do it for today, guys. We'll talk the UFC fight card next week, or that's coming up in 2 weeks. We'll talk that one next week and give a little preview to that. But make sure you guys like and subscribe, share the video, and I will talk to you guys next week. Peace.